Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. With the NHL Trade Deadline coming up in less than a week's time, teams from across the National Hockey League shall be leaving it until the very last minute to decide whether they spend big on a star player in the hopes of winning a championship, look to the future by moving roster players for prospects and draft picks, or stand pat and trust that the current roster they have will stay the course. Though some of the players moved in the coming days will be joining the second, third, or even fourth NHL team of their careers, there aren't many players that have been sent packing as many times as this one. This is the story of Brent Ashton, the first player to be traded 9 times in NHL history. In order to tell this tale, allow me to take you back to August 9th, 1979, where 19-year-old Saskatoon Blades forward Brent Ashton was selected 26th overall in the 1979 NHL entry draft by the Vancouver Canucks. Ashton would immediately earn a spot on the Canucks roster out of training camp for the upcoming 79-80 season, and gradually find his feet both in the league and on the scoresheet, scoring 19 points as a rookie and 29 points in his sophomore year for a total of 48 points in 124 regular season games during his first 2 years in Vancouver. However, on July 15, 1981, Ashton would be involved in the first of his record 9 trades during his career, as a 3-team transaction saw him sent to the Winnipeg Jets in return for the contract rights to Ivan Hlinka, before immediately being shipped off again to the Colorado Rockies, along with a 1982 third-round pick in exchange for Lucien Dubois, meaning Ashton's first experience of being traded had actually seen him traded twice on the same day. Ashton would spend his next 2 seasons with the Rockies organization as the team played both its final year in Colorado, where Ashton had one of the best years of his career thanks to a 60-point season, as well as the franchise's debut year in New Jersey in 1982, after relocating to become the Devils, where he put up a less impressive 33-point season for a total of 93 points in 156 games. Then, on October 3rd, 1983, Ashton would be traded for the 3rd time in a little over 2 years, as he was acquired by the Minnesota North Stars in exchange for Dave Lewis. Unfortunately, the Canadian forward struggled to make an impact for his 3rd NHL team and played arguably the worst hockey of his career, as he scored just 17 points in his first year in Minnesota and 11 points in the first 29 games of the 84-85 season, for a total of 28 points in 97 games. This disappointing performance prompted the North Stars to trigger trade number 4, as Ashton was shipped off on December 14, 1984, to the Quebec Nordiques, along with Brad Maxwell, in exchange for Bo Berglund and Tony McKegney. This change of scenery would work wonders for Ashton's career, as he would spend parts of 3 seasons with the Nordiques and play very well for the Canadian franchise, scoring 44 points or more each year, en route to potting 153 points in 176 games. Despite this strong stint, Ashton would be traded for a 5th time on January 17, 1987, to the Detroit Red Wings, along with Gilbert Delorme and Mark Kumpel, in exchange for Basil McRae, John Ogrodnik, and Doug Shedden. Ashton's next 108 regular season games would be played with the Red Wings, where he would post his first and only 40-goal season in 86-87, following his mid-season trade from Quebec, and would finish his time in Michigan with 84 points for his efforts. Then, on June 13, 1988, trade number 6 saw Ashton sent packing to the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for Paul McLean. Ashton's second run-in with the Western Canadian franchise would last much longer than his same-day trade back in 1981, as he ended up staying with the team for his longest stint with a single NHL franchise. The Canadian forward would use his time in Winnipeg wisely, becoming a productive member of the roster by scoring 161 points in 222 games. However, as he was transitioning into his early 30s, injuries had started to take their toll, and in turn, his production began to decline. After scoring just a single goal in 7 games to start the 91-92 season, on October 29, 1991, Ashton would be traded for the penultimate time in his career to the Boston Bruins in exchange for Petri Skorico. The former first-round pick would play his next 87 games for the Bruins over 2 seasons and score 43 points, but struggled to have the same impact for his new team compared to seasons prior. Ashton was even demoted to the AHL for the first time in his career during the 92-93 season, after scoring just 4 points in 26 NHL games. This disappointing play prompted the Bruins to trade Ashton for the 9th and final time in his career on February 1st, 1993, to the Calgary Flames in exchange for CJ Young. In doing so, the 32-year-old forward had just set a new NHL record for the most times a player had been traded in league history at 9, a record that has since been tied by Mike Sillinger in 2006. Ashton would spend the rest of the 92-93 season with Calgary, score 19 points in 32 games, before leaving the league when he couldn't find a team interested in signing him for the upcoming year, finishing his NHL career with 284 goals and 345 assists for 629 points in 998 games, as well as 49 points in 85 playoff games. Ashton then spent a season with the Las Vegas Thunder of the IHL before hanging up his skates and retiring from professional hockey in 1994 at 33 years old. With 9 trades in 14 years in the NHL, Ashton finished his career having been traded approximately once every 1.5 seasons. After calling it a day on his career, Ashton returned to his hometown of Saskatoon, where he has spent his time coaching minor hockey, as well as owning and operating the Brent Ashton sportswear store. Brent's desire to play hockey professionally seems to have been passed down from father to child, as his son Carter was a first-round draft pick by the Tampa Bay Lightning in 2009, and he played 54 NHL games, all with the Toronto Maple Leafs, before heading overseas in 2015, where he currently plays for Dinamo Riga of the KHL. Though he may not have found a more permanent home in the NHL, Brent Ashton used his 14 seasons in the best league in the world to etch his name into the hockey history books, with a record that has become pretty tough to match, let alone surpass. On the bright side though, Ashton got the opportunity to travel and live in many of North America's biggest and best cities, while racking up those air miles and carving out a pretty impressive NHL career. It may not be what he was expecting when he joined the league, but I bet he's got a ton of great tales to tell. And that's the story of the first player to be traded 9 times in NHL history. What do you guys think about Brent Ashton's career? Was it good, bad, or do you think a team should have picked him up to play his 1000th NHL game? He was so close yet so far. Let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Chris Gadsby, Connor B, Jordan Whitehead, and Martin Tolness, as well as a huge thank you to Max Artis and The Legacy for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.